one thing, they're hard to see too. surprise me at all. Not any alderman or anybody. They got it easy now. Oh boy. They ran into a problem, they just solve it real quick and go on. Down in front!
Sorry.
They moved a lot.
Now I can get down for
Going over the curb now and down that little bit of an incline there. did. Critical. We're gonna have to buy now. As close as you can get, isn't it?
Yeah, daylight right down there. My name's S.J. Morrison, and along with Steve Hughes, we are the co-presidents of the Goshen Preservation Alliance. And we'd like to welcome you today to the grand opening of our 1883 historic nickel plate train depot. And to get things started, I'd like to introduce Lexi Hutz, who will be singing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Lexi. That was awesome. Okay, as I mentioned before, I'm S.J. Morrison, and the guy running around in the engineer outfit, that is Steve Hughes. He's the co-president of the Goshen Preservation Alliance. The Goshen Preservation Alliance is a non-for-profit organization. It was started in 1980 to save the sheriff's residence on Main Street. Unfortunately, we weren't able to save the sheriff's residence, but that didn't keep them down, because in 1990, the railroad company said, well, we want to tear down this old train station here. But the men and women on the Goshen Preservation Alliance said, I don't think so. This time, we're going to jump in and we're going to save this train station. And that's exactly what they did. So a year later, they actually got the train station, and a year later, they moved it in 1991, right here where it is, on a safe haven on SIUE property. Now, over the years, tremendous efforts have been made to keep the station up, to keep it safe from vandalism, to keep it clean, to keep it painted. And I'd like to thank everyone who was involved with the GPA, with any historic preservation over the years, that have helped keep this station going through the years that it's been over here on SIU property. Thank you very much. You know, I think of the first time I came into this train station, it was last year, and I walked in and I about knocked over because the smell was so bad. It was dirty, it was grimy, there was stuff all over the place, and I went, oh my gosh. I mean, are we ever going to be able to get this place done? I mean, is it actually going to be fit for a museum? And there's a lot of work to do in here. And I kept saying to myself, no, you know, we can do it. I think if we just put our mind to it, we just get a bunch of people helping, we can get it done. And we finally have gotten it going to the point where it's ready to be opened as a museum. And it kind of reminded me of a book that I liked when I was a little kid. It's called The Little Engine That Could. And so I brought it here today. I want to read you guys just a couple pages from it. It's a neat book. It basically what happens is these toys need to get on the other side of the mountain, and none of the other engines can do it, except for this one little engine. He comes along and he says, well, I might be able to do it. I might be able to do it. It's a little blue engine. So we'll see if the little blue engine can do it. The very little engine looked up and saw the tears in the doll's eyes. And she thought of the good little boys and girls on the other side of the mountain who would not have toys or good food unless she helped. Then she said, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And she hitched herself to the little train. She tugged and pulled and pulled and tugged. And slowly, slowly, slowly they started off. And she kept saying to herself, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. The toy clown jumped aboard, and all the dolls and the toy animals began to smile and cheer. Puff, puff, chug, chug went the little blue engine. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Up, 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 faster and faster and faster and faster. The little engine climbed until at last they reached the top of the mountain. Down in the valley lay the city. Hooray, hooray, cried the funny little clown and all the dolls and toys. The good little boys and girls in the city will be happy because you helped us, little blue engine. You know, and when I think of that story, it kind of reminds me of this station. And so today, I'd like to donate the little engine that could to the little train station that could. As a constant reminder to us and to future generations that no amount of scraping, no amount of painting or cleaning attics or dusting floors is too much for us. There's nothing we can't tackle. Okay, and with that, I'd like to introduce to you a lady who knows a lot about historic preservation. She is the director of the Historic Preservation Commission here in Edwardsville, Mrs. Karen Matika.
Thank you, S.J. You make me sound very intelligent here and very knowledgeable. I don't know. This is tremendous. And when you talk about the little engine that could, you guys were the little engine that could. This is just wonderful. I am here representing the Historic Preservation Commission of Edwardsville. One of our duties is to landmark various properties in town that are that meet the criteria that we have set forward to be landmarked. There are certain things you have to have met. And there are 6 of these items of criteria. The train station has met 4 of the 6. We really don't have many that meet that many criteria. And I want to go through these just briefly with you. The first is it must be of value as part of the historical development of the community, the state, or the county. Well, think how many people have been touched by this train station. I would hesitate to even start thinking about where, but it's the buildings, the manufacturers, people, everyone in some way. This building helped with the development of our community. It needs to be a site of significant local events. Well, it was here that N.L. Nelson made his speech that he was going to start this community and the manufacturing company. It was here that some of the young men left from our various wars, and they came home to this train station. Another is we need it. It needs to meet the criteria of persons contributing to the community, the county, or the state. Well, who else would Anna Nelson and think of how many others contributed to the development of Edwardsville through the materials that were brought into this station and those type things. And then the other is that it needs a distinguishing character of architecture, distinguishing characteristics of architecture. And this, I hesitate, I read that and I waited, what does it have? This train station is very unusual in that it is the only one, I think I'm correct in that is of this length and has the gabled roof for a narrow gauge train station. I don't think, from what I understand, there is another of this size and with the gabled roof. So it's met for the criteria. The only two it hasn't met is it wasn't built by a master builder or architect, and it wasn't built for a group of people, a nationality or an ethnic group. But we're very proud of this train station. It's wonderful for Edwardsville, and it's a thing that I think many, many people remember, and it's so nice to see it in this wonderful condition now. So we're very proud to present to you the plaque that, this bronze plaque that you may then install on your building. Wear it with pride.
Thank you very much. Steve, come on up. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Karen. This is Steve, I was telling you about earlier, my co-president, and we really appreciate it, Karen, that the Historic Preservation Commission has chosen to give us the landmark status. We're really excited about it.
We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to call upon my good friend, Mr. Darby Bedell, who's going to be playing us a little Wabash Cannonball on his violin this afternoon. Okay. Is it okay? Excellent job, Darby. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce you to a lady who really needs no introduction. Senator Evelyn Bowles, and she is an awesome lady. She is always involved with anything that's going on around here. She is an Edwardsville gal through and through, and she's always willing to help out with historic preservation, with nature, anything. She's always coming through for the people in her community. Senator Evelyn Bowles.
Thank you, SJ. I read in the paper this morning that I was to give a keynote address, and it scared me to death. I thought, my gosh. But I was real glad they cleaned it up. They put remarks on the program. But historic preservation, are they just words, or are they intent and action? Most of the old railroad stations have been raised so that the wonderment of what preceded has been lost. I knew Gail Raffelli very, very well. In fact, Gail was a rare specimen. She was a woman station master and telegrapher, and that was quite unknown in that day. The dots and the dashes that used to be used for communication with the trains and the train masters in other stations has long disappeared from our communication system. It was such a delight when you had an opportunity to go to the station to hear the click of the telegrapher's keys and to know that someone, somewhere, was understanding what message was being delivered. Train travel used to call for you to dress to the nines. Remember? Some of you older people? When you went on the train, you were dressed to the nines, no question. And I remember as if it were yesterday, when our neighbor lady went back to Europe, and she caught the 7 o'clock train that went through Livingston at the Livingston Railroad Station. It was the CNI, and I'll never forget her. As long as we lived in that house, when I heard the whistle of that 7 o'clock train, I thought of Mrs. Kukas. Unfortunately, she never did get back to this country. She died in Europe. But the 7 o'clock train whistle was Mrs. Kukas all my life that I lived at that house. During the war, during World War II, train stations were a big deal. And those of you who might have served in World War II, those of us who are youngsters, every train station, practically on every railroad line, had a USO. And the volunteers from the villages and the cities would come down and have cake, coffee, sandwiches, whatever. But after World War II, the ridership declined perceptibly. And what a thrill it was to go to the train station, to board the train for Chicago or Washington, D.C., or some other seaport. I loved the trains and the train stations. The pot-bellied, coal-fired stove was present in every single station, and I know it was in this one. And it was the responsibility, of course, of the train master, the station master, and the telegrapher to keep the fires going. Well, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to preserve the history for coming generations. The preservation of the Nickel Plate Depot is an excellent example of historic preservation. In many ways, we have become a throwaway society. And I want to congratulate the Goshen Preservation Alliance and all of the volunteers who have worked and dedicated many, many, many hours to this wonderful restoration project. This is a perfect example of keeping something that is worthwhile. The Nature Center is another example of keeping something that is worthwhile. I know, I'm standing up here, that I'm preaching to the choir. But I entreat each and every one of you to continue saving our history. Historic preservation should be our middle name, and Edwardsville has taken that admonition very, very seriously. Congratulations to each and every one of you, and I wish you the greatest of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you very much, Senator Bowles. All right, and now another good friend of mine is going to come up and sing for us. She's going to sing some Chattanooga Choo Choo, and it's Valene Granger. And accompanying her on the keyboard is Mrs. Suzanne Bedell.
Pardon me, boys, at the Chattanooga Choo-Choo, track 29. Well, can you give me a shine? Well, I can afford to board the Chattanooga Choo-Choo. I've got my fare and just a trifle to spare. You leave the Pennsylvania station about 3:45, read a magazine, and then you're in Baltimore. Dinner in the diner, nothing could be finer than to have your ham and eggs in Carolina. When you hear the whistle blowing into the bar, then you know that Tennessee is not very far. Shovel on the coaling, gotta keep it rolling. Woo woo, Chattanooga, there you are. I'm gonna be that certain party at the station, satin and lace. He used to call funny face. Well, he's gonna cry until I tell him that I'll never roll. So Chattanooga choo-choo, won't you choo-choo me home? All aboard. Chattanooga choo-choo, won't you choo-choo me home? All aboard.
Good job. Thank you, Valene. That was totally cool. And Mrs. Bedell, you guys did a great job. Okay, before I turn it over to Bill Hurto for the closing remarks, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to our station today. We really appreciate such a nice turnout. And I also want to thank everybody, friends, family, everyone who has helped out with the train station, not only in the past couple of months of the major restoration, but in the time of its existence, in the last 115 years, who have watched over it, who have helped out with it, who have cleaned it, who have painted, scraped, the whole 9 yards. Thank you very much. It's because of you that we're standing here today dedicating this train station for a museum. Thank you.
It was a cool spring morning in 1883 when my lumber was loaded into a flat car and headed west towards a new territory called Illinois. After many stops along the way to build other stations, I finally arrived in Edwardsville on a hot July day. It seems like only yesterday that the carpenters laid up my strong floor beams on that Illinois prairie. I think I must have surprised my many early builders that I would last for 115 years, as I'm just made of wood. It was not long before my roof beams were in place and my gables would be meeting the sunrise and sunset on that beautiful open prairie. Oh, how many of those I have seen. Soon after I was built, many wagons pulled up by horses started meeting the train to haul building materials to town, a town that was growing, immigrants from the East started arriving, looking to make their living in the mines and the new businesses in this area. Many of your great-grandparents came through my waiting room to start their new lives in America. At first, the town was way north from where I was built. However, it didn't take long before the city came out to meet me. In June of 1890, a special train arrived carrying new workers to build the N.O. Nelson factory and to establish new town of LeClaire. Oh, what a great time we had that day. It was not long before I became very busy shipping items all over the world that were made right here in this factory. Famous people came and went from my platforms. Yes, many sunrises and sunsets have brought good times and sad times in my life. I have lived through tornadoes, train wrecks, fires, and terrible storms here. I have seen your sons off to wars 3 times. Many of them never returned, but they had their last memories of their loved ones waiting for them under the protection of my large eaves. I have seen your parents saying goodbye and have seen the joy of them returning on my doorstep. Many of you have grown up before my very eyes. Yes, Edwardsville, maybe I do look a little tired, but I have served you well over these years. When you stopped using me, I became the home for pigeons and squirrels. But now, with my friends of the Goshen Preservation Alliance, I have renewed vigor that will carry me over the next 100 years. Through me, your future generations can understand where they came from. For you see, I am you. I am Edwardsville. So please take care of me. Listen to the story I have to tell. With your help, I will be here to serve you for the next 100 years. Thank you very much.
Would Senator Bowles and Karen Matika please join us on the platform while we do the ribbon cutting?
Right in the middle.
I'll hold your hand.
Well, I get pictures of this now.
Okay.
Please, that.
Ready?
Yep.
Yay! I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today, and everybody's invited on into the train station to check it out and look at all of our neat artifacts. Thanks, everybody.